Hey guys, no bullshit here, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the lance, what I think about the weapon, how I think other people are going to react to the weapon, and yeah, just overall the situation for the weapon in the Monster Hunter Wilds demo. So let's get into it. So I've been playing the demo pretty much since it started, about 12 hours so far, maybe 13. Not all of it on the lance. I played other weapons, you know, gun lance, sword shield, hammer. We were live streaming and it was fun to have a lot of you guys with me. It was great, but most of the time I spent it using the lance, and I killed a lot of raid out of lance. I killed all the monsters of lance. I tried different mechanics and different ways it works, testing out the damage and so on. And you might have seen the title and you're like, Nova, what's this about? What do you mean? Well, basically, if you're coming from Worldborn or if you're coming from Risebreak, this isn't the lance that you know. This lance isn't going back to more simpler, as you might say, in World, but it isn't flashy in Rise. This lance, the closest lance I could say this is, because overall, actually, I think this lance is just a whole new lance. It doesn't feel like, in the overall package, it doesn't feel like any other lance. Many lance mains may not like the changes, and we'll get to that in a second. But this lance very much reminds me of Adept and Valor lance. It feels like we're going back to GU, bringing some of those mechanics back and putting it into this game. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, let's start off the counter. The counter is the biggest thing. You can't use the normal counter that we normally use. I've been playing on the PS5 because that's what you're able to use, and on the PS5 normally the count would be, I think it's R2 and circle. R2 and circle, you know, your quick counter. It's been that way since at least since I've started playing the game, and it's our main bread and butter way to defensively and offensively strike back and protect ourselves while we're fighting mid our pokes and thrusts. This has changed. It's changed now to the stronger guard. The power guard that was introduced in World is now on that button. So I think normally on a button, you would first start with the R2 and circle, and then you'd press X, I believe, on this controller, and then you would kind of take a stance on the ground to kind of take in less knockback as you attack back on the monster. Now that's just built into your normal counter. So you don't have a normal counter. You can kind of counter as you used to, but not in the way you think. You can't counter as you used to straight off the bat. You need to attack, and then after attack, you can then counter from that with R2 and circle. Basically, countering as we used to counter isn't an option. And they may be thinking, okay, what do we do instead? How do you keep on poking? In this game, you can just keep on poking infinitely now. There's no dodge to the side, any of that. But obviously, you still want to dodge to the side, guys. I do have to say, you still want to dodge to the side sometimes for repositioning. Focus mode helps you reposition, but sometimes I find it a bit difficult to reposition with the left stick and then the right stick and attacking and then guarding and then doing all that at the same time. It's going to take a lot of changes and a lot of adjusting. That's what the main thing I want you guys to take from this. You need to adjust to what this lance is. Now, going back a bit, the new option that you need to do is just guard. You're just going to have to regular guard like you're playing Adept style back in GU. Now, a lot of you probably haven't played GU. In GU, basically, there was a style called Adept style, or as it's known in the East, Bushido style. So, you know, Capcom, they're representing over here. They're representing me. But, no, seriously. Adept style is a style, weapons with shields. If you block at the right moment, you will then do an Adept block, which allow you to block a particular move in a particular way without any knockback, without any trip damage. You just block it perfectly, and then you're able to strike back or use some type of mechanic back. And in that game for the lance, you had the cross sweep that they added into Rise and Sunbreak with the depth guard. It was also in that game. In this game, you have a couple options with your depth guard. You have 3 options. You have one, which is return thrust, which is just pressing the triangle, I believe. So if I get these names wrong, guys. There's circle, which is the payback thrust. Now, payback thrust pretty much happens whenever you guard. Even if you perfect it, if you don't perfect it, you can always do that. And then you have the final option, which if you press triangle and circle together, you can then go into a thrust, and then you can go into a charge, which is pretty damn strong because the charge actually does a lot of damage really fast, really quickly. So it's actually probably the strongest mechanism you have in the game. So a lot of times in the footage and the background you see as well, I'm guarding. If I'm good enough, I'm getting the perfect guard, and then after that, I'm doing some thrusters up. I'm charging into the enemy. This is now our counter. Obviously in this demo, we don't have any guard. With no guard, it's kind of difficult to really understand how it impacts us, like how good it will feel. Because I'm pretty sure when you got guard 5, it's going to feel much better. You're going to guard a lot easier because there were some moves from Ray Dow that even when I guarded, it kind of felt like, okay, if I had a bit more guard, it would have had more of impact. Even sometimes I felt I perfect guarded some of the strongest moves he has. It still felt like I had a bit of delay, but I'm not too sure on that. Maybe I just didn't do it correct, you know. With more testing and more training, we'll get it down. But basically, that's what your moveset is evolved around. That perfect guard. You need to get it down. The window is actually pretty fine. Like I said, even if you don't get the perfect guard, as long as you guard, an attack, and I don't know how the game works. If it's when it recognizes knockback, you're then allowed to do the punishing, the payback thrust and stuff like that, which is such a cool name, to be honest. It is pretty cool overall, I gotta say. Definitely a big change from what us Lance mains have known for the past 10 or so years. And that's what leads me to say, I don't know if you will like this Lance. Honestly, I don't know. If you might not like this Lance. That's how I want to prepare you guys for. You might not like what they've changed in this Lance. It took me so many hunts to get used to not pressing the counter button. Now that I don't even press counter, I don't even press R2 in circle anymore. I don't even press it because there's no point. I never felt like I needed to do the stronger power guard. I always felt like, you know, as long as I guard and I get the perfect parry, even if I don't get the perfect parry, I get follow-ups from it. So that button to me right now is taboo. I'm not pressing it, not anymore. Before I was pressing it, but no, not anymore. I don't see the point. I honestly don't see the point. Now, that's the guard part. We got out of the way. Apart from that, will you enjoy the rest of the kit? And I think, most likely, you'll most likely enjoy the rest of the kit. The thrusts are pretty cool. The combo at the moment that does the most damage that people are saying is high thrust, wide sweep, which I know that's like taboo. Like, wide sweep? Really? Like, who's wide sweeping out here? We only started doing that in Sunbreak, but obviously, you know, they took out the charge wide sweep. So why would you wide sweep in this game? Well, it does a lot of damage. Even though it's quite slow, it does do a lot of damage. And after that, you do the mid thrust. Mid thrust 3 is actually stronger than high thrust 3, which is actually very interesting. I'm not really sure about that, why it's like that, but it is like that. And then from there, you can do the triple poke by pressing triangle once again. There is one caveat though. If you try to move while you're doing the thrust 3, it weakens the damage. You don't get the higher damage that you expect. What I mean by move, as you poke and thrust, you can move to the side either in focus mode, which will decrease the damage if you do thrust for the third poke. And also after your first poke, even in without focus mode, you can still dodge and poke backwards, which is pretty cool. Now with all these new additions into the movement of poking and so on, at first I was wondering, okay, how useful will it be? How often would you need to use it? And honestly, at first I didn't feel like I needed it at all. But then when I started to do some raid out speed runs and I was noticing that I was missing a lot and I want to maximize my damage, I realized every little micro transgression in my movement was important. I needed to make sure I was hitting at the right place at the right time. Otherwise, I'm just losing DPS, basically. And a lot of the times, I kind of felt like I was missing. The monsters moving a lot, their heads are moving, their bodies moving. It just kind of feels like you kind of have to use focus mode sometimes to adjust with Lance. And it was a bit difficult, like I was saying before, controlling both sticks, because, you know, the left hand on the stick is left and right, and you move forward and back. While the right hand on the stick can help you control the camera better. So controlling the camera and poking at the same time was a bit difficult, I've got to say. But the more I get used to it, the better it'll be. Because sometimes I wanted to poke a bit up because his head was up, and I was like, okay, I need to aim up a bit so I can get the pokes correct. And yeah, it did feel good when I was doing it, you know, trying to really maximize my damage. I felt great. I felt like a boss. But it is difficult to do, and I'm just preparing you guys as you get into the demo on the issues around it. Now, apart from that, how does it actually feel using the weapon against the monsters? It feels good. You know, it actually feels really good. Now, the monsters I like to fight the most with Lance in this demo was Chachacabra. Chachacabra is not the most interesting monster, but he's just a nice monster. Just, you know, wail on for whatever you want just to test out stuff. So I recommend you definitely test out on him. Doshiguma has a lot of telegraphed attacks, but he does have a big wind up on a lot of his moves. So I will say be careful of his wind ups. You got to really watch what he's doing and how he's doing it. Because some moves, it feels like it should have came out, but it didn't come out. And then he hits you with like a second part of it or some crap. So definitely that fight is going to train you on how to use your perfect parries better. So use that well for your training. Balahabra, I don't like Balahabra. I think it's just an annoying fight, honestly. So I'm not even going to talk about him. Raidao is the best fight in the demo. As I said when I was talking about my initial feelings, he's the best fight. With Lance, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. But there are some issues for Lance in the fight. First of all, he does this one move where he comes down and with his arm and he starts dragging across the ground. This move feels pretty good to parry. You can perfect parry it, and if you're able, you can turn around and you can thrust back. Sometimes, even if you perfect parry it, he ends off like really far away from you. It kind of feels like a clash, but not like a clash. It's a bit strange. And other times, he ends up literally right behind you, so you can thrust him straight away. When he's far away from you, normally then after that, he'll start to like shoot some lightning at you, so you have to be careful of that. Some of the times I kind of decided to thrust, to do my dash thrusting, dodging to the side and jumping up over the lightning, which was pretty cool. Getting close to him and then hopefully get him out or just do some damage, which was good and felt pretty badass. His lightning strikes. Most of his lightning strikes are fine, you know. Sometimes he tries to lightning strike you while you're right underneath him, which, you know, it misses. Yes, there's one move when he kind of hits you down with his head, and it always hit me, even when I'm guarding. I think because it comes from above, it kind of gets behind your shield. So my suggestion is either dodge forward, dodge back, or move to the side. Don't try to counter it most of the time. Most of the time, you're just gonna get hit. It's not hard hitting damage, but it's just annoying. Like, well, why are you hitting me? The moves to be careful of, there's 3 moves in particular. One move is when he kind of does a loop-a-loop, do a barrel roll, Shout out to Peppy, if you know, you know. And then after the barrel, he comes and slams down at you with his wing. This is one of his strongest moves, his strongest physical attack. Definitely have to watch out for that. Now, the other 2 are his lightning beams. It wasn't just me. A lot of people in the stream chat were actually surprised that you can actually block those lightning beams. Normally, in other games, those lightning beams will be seen as unblockable. In this game, it isn't. Now, that could change. People did kind of theorize, oh, maybe they put guard up into the base kit of the Lance. I think we need to kind of wait and see overall what this game kind of is shaping out to be to make that assumption, because I can still imagine there's still going to be moves that are going to be unblockable. Now, we talked about unblockable before. I'm going to put the video down in the description below, and you'll see a card at the top and how I don't like unblockable. I've seen a lot of people talk about how they don't like unblockable too. For me, and I did say in the video, there's actually 2 things about unblockable. One thing is just normal blockable, and then truly unblockable. Normal blockable moves are moves that you can, if you get guard up, you can block. I'm fine with that, actually. I'm quite fine. Obviously, the first time you find a monster, and if you don't understand it's unblockable, it's kind of like, oh shit, that's unblockable. So then you kind of have to, mentally prepare yourself for the future. Then there's other ones that are truly unblockable. Now, these ones are ones, even if you do have guard up, you're still going to get hit. And those ones I don't like. Okay, those ones I don't like. Because no matter what you do, you're going to get hit. And definitely some of the fast moving ones that do a lot of damage, there's no way around it. So you're just going to get hit. But yes, none of his lightning moves are unblockable. So you can guard them, but they do a lot of chip damage. Honestly, they do a lot. Probably about 20 to 25% of your health when you block, which is pretty insane. I've tried to perfect parry them a couple times and I did get them. It's quite hard though, can't lie. Because if you miss it, you're dead. You are literally dead. It does so much damage, you're dying. He does one of them when he's in the air. Now that one obviously is a bit more easier to dodge, in my opinion. The other one though, the one where he does it right in front of his face, that one is deceiving. And what do I mean by that? Basically, the hitbox is crazy big. It's all in front of him, it's beneath him, and it's also a bit behind him. And it's also to the side of him as well. So you don't want to be anywhere near it. That's basically what I'm saying. Do not be behind him. Do not be below him thinking, oh, I'm safe. I'm not going to get hit. You're going to get hit and you're going to die. And you're going to get pissed like I did. Okay? So don't do that. Don't be underneath him. Okay? Please. I cannot stress that enough. When he's charging that big ass beam, do not stay underneath this guy. You will die. Apart from that, Raid Out's Raid Out. He's not too hard. So killing him isn't going to be difficult for you Lance mains. Honestly, you guys got this. I believe in you guys. Speedrunning him, on the other hand, can be a bit annoying. Definitely because some of his moves feel like they shouldn't hit you, but they do. Like when he drags his arms across his wings, sometimes it feels like, okay, now I'm fine. It never hit me before, it's not hit me this time. But then one time, it's like, oh, okay, fair enough. I'm on the slope now. And now, because I'm on the slope, the angles are different. Hitboxes are different, so I'm getting hit now. And then, yeah, it's kind of sad, but it is what it is. That's fighting monsters. It feels good. Fighting Raid Out with Lance feels good. Now, there's one other part of this that I want to talk about. That's about how does it actually feel when you hit the monster? Do you feel the impact? Now, on this PS5 controller, this is my first time using the PS5 controller. I haven't actually held a PS controller in a long time. Back when, probably a PS2. That's the last time I played on a PS controller. Normally I'm on Nintendo or I'm on PC, and for a bit I was on Xbox, but I never really touched PS controller. So, but the feeling from poking, it felt okay. It didn't feel too amazing, to be honest. I'm not sure if it's just me. The pokes feel a bit slower. I feel like I'm slower in this game with Lance than I've ever been before. In Sunbreak, in GU, in 4U, 3U, World, maybe similar, maybe a bit slower. It does. The pokes do feel a bit slower. Maybe it's just me though. Maybe if we actually do some research, we'll kind of figure it out. But it felt slow to me, at least. I wish they were a bit faster, and I wish there was more impact when you actually poke. It doesn't feel, the sound effect, I don't love the sound effect. I don't know if I want a bit of like vibration in the controller as you poke. Maybe that'll be a bit too much, but you can always turn it off, or maybe reduce it with these new controllers. But there's some type of more feedback I think would be great when you're poking, definitely on weak spots. Because when I was poking on weak spots, I don't really feel that feeling. Like, I don't know about the old heads. When I'm poking on GU and I hit a really juicy, you know what I'm talking about, that juicy weak spot. You see the blood, you just feel the nice gush out and the slowness in the blade going in. You're like, this is good. Now, saying that, I sound like a psychopath. Holy shit. God damn. I was really descriptive with that. My bad. But overall, you know what I mean, if you played the old games. In this, I don't get that, and I wish I did, but I don't. Hitting Raid Out's head is his weakest spot, in my opinion. I think it's his head or his wings, when his wings are like lit up with his lightning crystal effect. You do the most damage. And I didn't really get the impact that I normally feel. It still felt like I was kind of throwing around a wet noodle, honestly. But it's fine, it is what it is. I'm used to it now. So yeah, that's what I've got to say about that part. Wow, there's so much to talk about. What about dodging? Okay, dodging. Hopping forward and back, you barely move. You barely move in this game, honestly. We need some evade distance. We need to be leaping across the screen, because right now, when you hop, you barely move. So it feels kind of annoying to get close in on a monster sometimes. I wish, you know, it was a bit, well, we don't have it in this game. We don't have it in this demo, which is fine. You know, we don't have the skills that you need on a lance, you know, which I think in this game you definitely want to guard, like I said before, and I think you want that evade distance, or I don't know what they call it in the new games, jump distance or something like that maybe. Basically, you need to jump further because hopping is not enough right now. So you might find yourself, you hop to the side and you barely moved, and you might be like, okay, wow, that's kind of pathetic. But that's how it is at the moment. So just be careful of that. We didn't talk about the focus mode. Focus mode with Lance, it's a mixed bag. Honestly, it's a mixed bag. I like it a lot when it works, but when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And what I mean by that is, so the way that focus mode works, you know, you got the wounds on the monster, and then if you use a focus strike on a wound, you then initiate your focus strike. First, you hit up with uppercut. Uppercut is cool, but a lot of the times it missed, because if you hit the wrong body part, even if like you're trying to hit that part, it's hard to aim at that part sometimes. Definitely on a creature like Raydal, sometimes there's a wound on his upper wing. I'm like, how am I gonna hit that? Or a part of his head. I'm like, bro, I hit your head, allow it. Come on, do I have to hit that particular part of your head? Apparently you do. You hit that part. After you do that, you can go straight into the thrust. Don't go straight into the thrust, because when you go straight into the thrust, a lot of the monsters, once you initiate that first strike with the focus strike, they swing their head backwards, and as they swing their head backwards, the next hit misses, and you're like, fucking hell, why can't you hit? This move is broken. So what you have to do instead is actually hold on to the button. Don't let go. If you hold on, you then do that move where you move forward with your shield up, raising your shield. I don't know if there's a guard point in this, by the way, because most monsters, after you do the focus strike, they don't attack you. So I don't know if there's a guard point. But basically, as you do it, you keep hitting them. You do some stun damage if you hit the head. So you do some impact damage in this, which is pretty cool. And after that, if you let go, then you do the thrust. That's the best way, because this way you can gain distance, you can get closer, and then you can strike. So even if they roll their head backwards, you can still get in close and still hit your strike. And the strike feels good. When it hits, it feels good. The pan on the screen, when you start initiating the move, it feels nice, feels clean, it feels epic. Alright, it feels really, really nice. I'm actually very impressed when that happens. I love to hit it. Now, 90% of the time, when you hit that move, they're on the ground. The monster either, they kind of slow down for a bit, like maybe they might fall down, or maybe they might just move their head backwards a bit. And after that, you know, you can actually chain them up. There'll be moments when I was chaining them up. I was saving the focus strike to chain them up. So when he gets up, I can hit him down again. And I kept on doing it. And it felt great. I felt like a badass. But that's pretty much it when it comes to focus strike. Just try not to miss, because you won't miss. I'm guaranteed it. You will miss if you don't use the shield part to its effectiveness and move in closer to position yourself closer. But now, we've been talking for quite a while. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about when it comes to the highest DPS combo. High thrust, wide sweep, mid thrust, and then the triple poke. The wide sweep is slow as hell. It's really slow. And to be honest, I've kind of stopped using it in my iterations on my normal piece of combat, because it's so slow. A lot of times when I use it, I don't get to guard, because the guard windows after that, you know, is quite sluggish. So you don't get to guard in time. If you're getting hit, if you need to do your counter, perfect parry. And a lot of the times it just felt like, damn, I'm just too slow and I'm not able to readjust myself properly. So I just stopped using it, and I only use it now when the monsters are down. So I would recommend using it when the monsters are down, at least when you start playing the game. And after that, you can kind of theorize how you feel about it, because yeah, it's a high DPS, but it just leaves you so vulnerable. Honestly, it just leaves you way too vulnerable, and I don't like it. I don't like that feeling. I like the feeling that I know I can guard at any time. That's what it feels good. That's what I love most. We're ending on this. This is what I love most when it comes to this lance in this game so far. You feel like you're always in it still. Yes, before you had it with the counter, now you feel it with the perfect parry. Now it feels like, yes, if you get the perfect parries down and down, you're going to feel like the coolest of hunters ever out there. If you're getting the guards in, they're coming, every strike they're coming, counter, attack, counter, payback, counter, payback. You're going to feel great. Charge, return thrust. You're going to feel good. It feels good when you're getting it down, when you've really memorized it and you really understand how the weapon works. But the initial feeling is difficult. But once you get there, guys, give it a chance, because when you get there, it gets there. And it does feel pretty damn good to be able to do that often and do that within combos. Like, I'm just poking, and as soon as he comes, I'm like, cool, God, like, it's fine. Like, I don't need to worry. Obviously, if you're doing the triple poke, you can guard out of that, but you can't guard straight away. It takes a bit. You need to wait for a bit to actually guard. So you gotta be careful on that. But apart from that, yeah, guarding, it feels great. So you can get in your guard whenever you want. There's one thing I was talking about on the stream with fellow hunters was about the weapon in general and the difficulty of playing this weapon. Now, Lance has never been a super difficult weapon. I think it's been averagely difficult. Now, not crazy hard, not crazy easy. I don't think there's any crazy hard weapons in this game. I think pretty much every weapon, once you learn what the moveset is and how to actually activate those moves, you can use those moves like it's fine. You just have to, you know, learn how those moves actually work. And Lance has never been that weapon because, you know, most of the moves are quite visible. The difficulty in Lance's gameplay is just adapting and understanding every situation you're in and your lack of movement and the slowness and all these other stuff. But in this game, the difficulty is going to be adjusting to the guarding and playing correctly with your perfect parries, like really perfectly, because you have to, and also micro position yourself when it comes to your thrusts in focus mode. I think this is going to be the hardest Lance we've ever had, the hardest Lance to play, and I think a lot of people are going to have difficulty adjusting to this Lance. So I hope the best for you guys. Honestly, I hope the best. Now I'm going to be streaming when it comes to Friday, which I probably is for most of you guys is Thursday, but for me it's Friday morning. I'm going to be streaming on PC. I will also come out a video of just some more tips when it comes to Lance in the future. But yeah, I'm going to show you like a fight of how I like to fight Ray Dow with the weapon. I will do a video on that too, which will come out later today, and we'll just kind of give you a kind of understanding of how you go about the fight with the weapon. But yeah guys, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's quite a long one, but these are all my thoughts on the Lance. I think it's great. If I was going to rate it out of 10, initially I would say probably like a 7, and then it went down to like a 5. I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. But right now, since I started speedrunning, I started fighting more. You know, Lance always feels better when you fight harder monsters, and fighting Ray Dow is the hardest monster in the demo. Fighting him, I'd say like it's like an 8. Like, it feels really good. But obviously we don't have the skills, but you know, we'll keep that in mind that we don't have the skills that we want. But yeah, it feels good. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.